a Dear Media original podcast.
Hi, welcome to Good Instincts. I'm Shira Barlow, but you may know me as the food therapist. Join me every Monday through Friday for bite-sized episodes designed to help you close the gap between where you are right now and where you want to go. This should feel good, like really good. And it will, I promise. Last week, we talked to Pamela Salzman about her easy sheet pan recipes and the idea of meal assembly versus meal prep. And the conversation was so good that we actually went over and we broke it up into 2 distinct episodes. So without further ado, we'll jump right into part 2. The next thing I wanted to ask you was, because for as long as I've known you, you had your son, Andrew, who was a super picky eater. And now he's like a grown-up man who likes food. And I think that that's such an inspiration to parents and caregivers. And I was wondering, you were so patient with it. And I was wondering how you did it and kind of what were a couple key things that you think helped move him from like Mr. Picky to someone who eats.
So funny that you're even asking me about him, because 10 minutes before we started our chat, he texted me, because he's in college for the first time. And he texted me a photo of his lunch, which was hummus, sauteed spinach, potato wedges, quinoa, and like some corn situation.
What a cutie.
So, I mean, it literally makes me want to cry, because he's like, I got my protein. I'm like, yes, you did. And a non-starchy vegetable. So, okay. So I have 3 children.
Yes.
My oldest one was picky only until she was about 10. My second one came out of the womb eating everything. But my son was incredibly, incredibly difficult. And I realized at some point that I had to stop caring so much. And that's when the dynamic shifted with him. That's when all of a sudden he eased up. And I never put pressure, because I knew that that was not a great strategy. So I never said, like, if you don't eat this, you can't do this. Never,
Right.
never, never. Or if you eat this, you can have this. So I thought I was being kind of chill about it, but I wasn't. I was still a little tense at mealtime. I was kind of embarrassed that I had a picky child when I could make sort of anything.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching other people how to cook for their families and saying my recipes are family friendly and they work. And then I had this kid that really was kind of anti my food. And so when he was probably about 13, I was just like, I'm done. I felt in my heart that if I set a good example, and if my husband set a good example at the table of eating in a way that I wanted my son to eat, and we had positive energy at mealtime. So I started just, doing the thing like an icebreaker where we would talk about what was something fun that happened today, or funny or cool or whatever. And then it just became a much more pleasant environment.
Yeah.
He just slowly started eating things. I noticed.
Wow.
But what I also didn't do was I never said finally, you've come around. This is the day I've been waiting for. Never. I was super, super chill.
Just neutral.
Super neutral.
I think that you gave him such a gift by being so neutral. And I know how hard that is and how easy it is to think about it when it's not your kid. And then when your kid isn't actually eating, how emotional that is. But the fact that you were able to take your own emotions out of it in order for the long haul of it is so incredible. And I think it's so incredible for parents and caregivers listening to hear that, because I do think a lot of us are in the kind of the 3, 4, 5, 6 of it all, where, it's just hard and you really want them to have a good relationship with food from the ground up. And now he's in college and he's showing you this balance. I mean, that is better than I think any college guy I've heard of in recent memory. So that's amazing.
But you nailed it. It's a long game.
It's a long game.
I actually taught a course in raising healthy eaters, and I am telling people, you have these 18 years to work on it. It's not magic. There are no magic recipes. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, if you can only do one thing, it's just modeling good eating behavior for your children. If you can only do one thing, I mean, obviously there are a lot of strategies and things like that, but that to me is the most important. And I always put an emphasis on family dinners as much as we could. I know everybody's so busy, but you do the best that you can.
Now that you're saying that, I do have a question about family dinners. I think that a lot of people want to cook once for their whole entire family. But for instance, your kids and maybe your spouse eat one way and then you eat another way. Like, I'm not going to eat necessarily the things that Oliver wants to have for dinner. And I was wondering if you had any strategies for things that kind of can be mixed and matched for kind of like the parents who maybe are like going so carb heavy, like for a while, Oliver ate everything. And then all of a sudden it was just like literally a carb with melted cheese on it, which is not what I want to have for dinner. So do you have anything for the whole family that would be like a good thing to try?
One of the things that worked really well for us for several reasons was a good bowl night.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, and originally I would sort of plan the bowl night, and then I was just using bowl night as an excuse to use up whatever I had in the fridge.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been through it. Like, my husband was very strict vegan.
I know. I remember that. It was tough.
That was rough.
Yeah, that was rough.
My son then became only a pescatarian. I kind of eat most everything. And it's just like, I'm not going to go through it all, but like a bowl night just became a really easy way for us to do a DIY situation where I could prepare, maybe I could warm up some chickpeas for my husband, make some chicken for everybody else or a fish, and then include a rice and then lots of veg and then a sauce to tie it all together.
I love that.
Taco night is also a no-brainer. If the girls wanted chicken, it's not that difficult for me to put the same seasoning on a piece of fish. So I never minded a little bit of flexibility with that. I didn't feel like I was making a second meal.
Totally.
So I would really try to be strategic about figuring out that one kind of umbrella meal that I could adapt to everybody.
I think that's so wonderful. And I think it's really helpful. And it seems really basic, but it's not. Pamela, thank you so much for being here. I do recommend checking out Pamela at Pamela Salzman on Instagram. And then you have these amazing cookbooks, which I'm not just saying this. I sent you that picture that video that we couldn't post because Oliver was literally naked in it. But I mean, you are like a celebrity in my family. So I definitely recommend checking out her cookbooks as well, wherever you get your cookbooks.
This was just such a delightful chat. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for listening to Good Instincts, hosted and written by me, Shira Barlow. You can find me on Instagram at Shira_RD. Good Instincts is a Dear Media daily,